Greetings, greetings, greetings. You're now tuned into the vault. Trust Christian, know nothing, control everything. Just want to thank you for tuning in live, listening to replay. Always appreciate everybody that tunes in live, listens in the replay. This is the vault, episode 633, special Thanksgiving Day Trust Board Meeting Protocol. Definitely want to thank everybody for tuning in live, listening to replay. If you like to catch these live episodes, hit the notification button twice so you can actually get the live pop-up episodes notifications. When we go live, it'll pop up on your phone and give you the notification, as well as in your email. Christian at trustchristian.com. Feel free to reach out if you want a consultation. Christian at trustchristian.com. Thank you for tuning in live, listening to replay. Thanksgiving Day Trust Board Meeting Protocol. Easy meeting, great meeting, easy one of the board meetings. Everything today is a complete family trust expense. And so today we're having a meeting because we are here to pretty much find out where we are this year. It's good to, in this session, have already sent out a notice and an agenda on what we're here to talk about previous to the meeting to the specific members that already have voting power, and as well to anyone that's being elected to sit on the board, as well as anyone that's allowed to sit in the room, youth that you have in training, successors that you have in training. So definitely thank everybody for tuning in live, listening to replays. Not financial advice or legal advice, but we're definitely having a conversation that we have traditionally in the rooms with the families. Some of it could get very hairy, very in depth in the conversations that we have, because this is a time where people are sitting in a room that are up for being voted into trusteeship, as well as we're doing accounting. We're looking to find out what distributions need to be made before the end of the year, what distributions have been made that year, what has been growth income, uh, and things of that nature. And so in this meeting, once again, various things can happen: voting on decisions on moving forward, once again, voting for new members. And so the protocol is simple. We should have had an agenda already coming into the meeting. Part of the this particular meeting on Thanksgiving, where we're giving thanks and we're having a meeting, we want to come to the meeting with values. What are we giving thanks for? 5 to 10 things each specific team member. It shows a level of harmony, shows a level of congruency, shows a level of us coming together in a great spirit. What are we thankful for? At least writing down maybe what we're thankful for, what we have, or where we're going. And so we come into this meeting with thanks. We also are in this meeting with our values. This is where we get to reestablish what has changed in our life throughout the year and what we are doing forward. So in this particular meeting, we may say each particular member needs to rate themselves. Interestingly enough, in trusteeship, if you study some of the major public companies, they actually have a rating system where team members inside, trustees inside, vote to grade each other. They grade each other on their performance that year individually. Now, whether you're grading someone else or you're grading yourself, there is a checklist. And so the main things that we would be talking to family members are: do they trust Christian? Know nothing, control everything. That's where we always start. Do we trust Christian? Own nothing, control everything. That means we don't have things in our name. Are we still in that position where we're operating day to day in non trustee positions? And this is something that we have to ask ourselves as a checklist, quote unquote, item for us as trustees to grade ourselves. This is an easy grading self, question, which is: do we trust Christian? Know nothing, control everything. Are we quote unquote owning, or are we controlling assets? How many assets do we have under management? Are we managing assets, or are we owning assets? There's a difference between managing assets and owning assets. And so we're very clear on that. Uh, The next thing is how well are we at preserving capital? Very, very important. A lot of people don't know about using OPM. They find it challenging to use OPM. When it comes down to it, if you're using insurance policies, you're using OPM. So once again, it's not an easy concept to grasp for many because they haven't been educated in that. But at the end of the day, we are going to do some more episodes about it. But once again, it is about preserving the capital. How do you preserve the capital? Any capital that you all make as a family estate should be held in a preservation position. When we're talking about capital, we're traditionally talking about anything that was in dollars, fiat, liquid, and has been put into a hard position or has gone into a hard position, but nevertheless, it's still a it was liquid at one point, and because there was liquidity, we want to preserve any levels of liquidity that we've had ever at one point inside of trusteeship. And so we're preserving capital. Easy concept to grasp, maybe not the easiest concept to employ, but as you can see, most people they're not imploring it. Why? Because they don't under they everybody talks about inflation, everybody talks about the dollar losing value, but they're not invested in a system. They're not active in a system, and so we train people in systems at the vault to be in a system where you preserve every dollar that you make. Doesn't matter if you're an employee or if you're a trustee or if you're an entrepreneur or investor. It's the same exact thing as preserving capital. So, preserving capital. How well did you preserve capital? Some of these things you can grade yourself on a scale of 1 to 10. Some of these things you can list out, did you do them or not do them? And what did you do if you did do something? Clearly, and then if you didn't do something, what were you supposed to do? Very easy to write out, very short briefs, less than 5 sentences, uh, very, very simple briefs. So we move into the growth stage. This is where we get back to working with trustees, where uh, how well are you at growing assets? How well are you at bringing in cash flow? How well are you at increasing the internal rate of the return of the estate? And so what we get is we see, or what we've experienced at the vault, it's a varying degree. It's many that are not doing. From an investor, many aren't. It's just what it is, ladies and gentlemen. Entrepreneur perspective, and the ones that are doing the growth outside of trusteeship, they just have to grasp the concept of trust Christian know not to control everything. So there are ones that they get it because they're already growing. They have a quarter of a million. They have over $500,000 business to $1 million plus business a year. That's easy work for them. They have no issues with growing an asset. That's just bottom line. They have the intangibles to get in any vehicle and make it work, ladies and gentlemen. There are people that have that touch. If someone doesn't have that touch and they're working from a job perspective, let's talk about it because there are many that come to the vault and they say, "Oh, I got a job, trust Christian at the vault. How do I grow cash flow when you're really on a fixed income?" So we have to set some new goals. We have to set some new standards. And so this is where you see the family maybe make you dig your heels in as a trustee, maybe get educated so you can get competent, feel competent as a trustee, that you can go out and do something, quote unquote, on your own, quote unquote, as a manager and not have to have a job. Some people feel like they have to have a job. Some people, they just have one. Which one are you? Many feel like they have to. And in turn, what you have to do is bring money into the family estate. That's the bottom line. So we keep it simple at the vault. These meetings are very, very simple. You have to bring money into the family estate. Are you putting money into the family estate or are you paying your personal bills? Because you're thinking about yourself. But when you're thinking about the family estate, it makes you think about, oh, we're bringing money into the family estate first and it pays bills for trustee expenses. That's how that works. So it's a difference in mindset and philosophy and thought process. Is it easy to adopt this thought process? Maybe not, but this is why we're at the first meeting, or we're at the Thanksgiving Day a special Thanksgiving Day trust board meeting and protocol, and we're having these conversations. We're having a very general, open conversation about family values, skill sets, grading each other as trustees, possibly what was the grade. We may pass the grading sheet around at the table at that point. See, the thing about it is some people say, oh, well, do we need to give out a lot before the meeting? Sometimes you really can do things at the meeting. You could give out, you could do votes right there on the spot. We could do small votes on the spot with our hands, or we could do voting on paper. People put up a number, they put up a Y, they put up a no. Once again, these are very simple votes. People can vote themselves on what they did and say, okay, well, okay, now that we know what you did, now we know what you did. We got to know what you're going to do next year. See, December's over, ladies and gentlemen, as a trustee. People know that. We're looking for 25. What's going to be in 2025, ladies and gentlemen? What's going to be in 2025? And what we know is going to be in 2025 is what you say is going to be in 2025, dictated as a trustee. What is that? The growth, the percentage of growth. One of the mentors said, Trust Christian, if you find an investment that's less than 10%, you should just do it yourself. Now, if you all are saying, hey, we're looking for a rate of return next year on our investment into the family estate of 6 to 8%, you should be doing it yourself. Some people say, oh, I'm a default and give it to a what? What's that thing called? A CD or something in the public, some public security, and get 3 to 4%, maybe no more than 6 for sure. And remember, the money stationary is not growing. It's just sitting there. It's compounding. It's fixed. It's a fixed investment rate now. So we talk about where people have to venture out from zero to hero. Ladies and gentlemen, zero to hero means there's a lot of percentages of growth. So every year we get to calculate massive growth as opposed to calculating incremental growth because we're doing incremental things. That's where we're at, ladies and gentlemen. Christian at trustchristian.com. Once again, that's the email that you can reach out to for consultations. Christian at trustchristian.com. Ladies and gentlemen, the first, what is it, the Thanksgiving Day Trust Board Meeting Protocol. After we've done the votes, we've done some grading on each other's trusteeship. Say people, trustees come into this, they say, oh, well, we haven't done anything so far. Okay, great. We need to at least have a plan looking forward. This is an easy meeting to write a less than a 5 sentence move forward, less than 5 bullet points. What are we going to do to move forward? Particularly, what is my role, responsibility, and duty? How am I going to make this a harmonious situation? Once again, what is my role, responsibility, and duty over the next year? And just do that. Just stick to that. What are you going to do? Can you do that? Can you get that rate of return next year, over the next 12 months, over the next 13 months, essentially? You have December, it hasn't fully went into it yet. And so these are the goals that you end up setting. You set some goals. So we go out and we say, okay, we set some goals. We got some goals in the meeting. We may vote on things that we're supposed to be voting on at the next meeting. We'll determine when we're going to have our next meeting. Why? Because we're looking to build continuity. We're looking to build synergy. We're looking to have harmony. That means we have regular meetings. Our regular meetings now could be scheduled online. Once again, we may have established standards that how much we put in, maybe we don't. How much do we contribute over a period of time? Maybe some consequences too. So the best people that implement these meetings are usually families that are successful operators and businesses. Why? Because these meetings aren't going to be long for those successful people. The people that don't have a lot of background in handling board meetings, this is probably going to take an hour. When in all actuality, it could be handled in less than 40 minutes if a family is efficient with time. If a family goes longer, if a family goes 2 hours, it's because they're having very thorough discussions. Maybe they have quite a bit to discuss, many families to go around, and We haven't gotten to that yet, but we're going to talk about the rank and order in which people should talk. And this is just the best practice that we've implored with our families currently, which is to we start out the meeting, but we always let the least senior member speak first, and we go up to the most senior member speaking last. It's actually counterintuitive. We do not have the most senior member speaking first. We have the least senior member speaking first, and there's a theory behind it, but we're not going to go into it right now. Point being is that it's very important to let the least be heard first and work our way up to the most senior manager that's managing, that has the wherewithal, that has the not final decision making, but once again has the senior levels of authority, and there may be multiple seniors. So once again, you guys would just divvy out the level of like who's going to finish last. It's not a big deal if there's multiple seniors, but the point is we let the least speak first, and then on the back end of that, we we speak last as a senior, because it's important to allow them to speak, ladies and gentlemen, and to let them feel heard first for sure. It's very, very important, very senior protocol. So we would let people that are sitting in a room that they may say, "Oh, I don't know what to say." Okay, great. Say whatever you want to say. What do you envision for the family estate? What are you looking to get out of sitting here right now? Okay, great. You don't have anything to say? Great. Just know nothing is not going to come back to you. We're going to go around the room. We're going to get to the senior, and we're going to wrap the meeting up. And that's very efficient. And so, now that least can find out what value they add, at least knowing that their voice is always meant to be heard. And on the back end of that, they do have the opportunity to speak and say things. And so the next time. And so you set up a certain level of protocol. Once again, letting the least be heard first is very, very important in these meetings. Usually they're non-voting trustees. Once again, we've come into this meeting with an agenda. So even when they have seen it previous to coming into the meeting, they may have seen, okay, as a junior, what are you looking to contribute to the family estate? Please write that in 3 sentences or less. What are you looking to contribute to the family estate? And there's no, oh, I don't know what they contribute, because otherwise, like, we cannot have them in the room, or we're actually looking for some value. So we have forced value. In turn, family members bring something to the table. Whatever it is, we still value it, and that's fine. Um, so, yeah, ladies and gentlemen, we let the least speak first. We do have a quorum. We would like to have an odd vote at all times. Many people have reached out to the vault and they asked about protectors. Sometimes protectors will sit in the room. Traditionally, protectors aren't necessary, but most of the time, if a family feels a little unprotected, quote unquote, uh, you usually don't need them, ladies and gentlemen. These are for people that are not in positions of power. They're in positions where a protector can do something against them, and if the protector can do something against you, there's nothing wrong with that. But that should be enforced a few generations from now, not necessarily right now. And that's when the family estate has uh, people, children that are truly dependents and not actually me and managers. Um, so we get it to the end of the meeting. We're gonna vote when's our next meeting gonna be. We set times. And then we end the meeting maybe with a prayer, or we give thanks, and then as well we go back to our mission and vision for the family. We do have many families that read their mission statement before the meeting starts or at the beginning of the meeting, and as well at the end of the meeting. And ladies and gentlemen, you don't understand how valuable it is until you do it, until you understand how valuable it is to do those, to repeat the family mission statement at the beginning of the meeting and at the end of the meeting. And you'll see how many family members end up taking on this level of wisdom, this level of focus towards helping the family. It's like when you're rearing up a child and you want them to remember something that they're a child when they're a child, and they get under older and they end up remembering it, right? So once again, doing the mission statement at the beginning and at the end is very valuable. We've seen tremendous results. Best practice protocol. We see that with families that come together, that are clear on their values, and they have a vision on where they're going. There's someone in the family that has a vision. Usually, we know who that visionary is. We're usually in contact with that visionary, but for the most part, they're going to be the visionary for the family estate. They usually have the highest level of vision for it. Once we see that we've done our votes, uh, once we've done our voting, we pretty much planned out our next meeting. Uh, This is where you can implement really good best practices in a level of this type of meeting. Very, very heightened sense of awareness for family members wanting to stick together and care and love on each other. And for that reason, there should be a level of giving thanks for each other's skill set and talents and abilities, and people isolating and identifying and edifying each other about their talents and abilities, edifying each other. Sitting at the meeting saying, you know what, I just want to let you know one thing that I admire about you, or one thing that I look up to you, or one thing that I appreciate about you. It puts into the air where people get their juice from, where people get their energy from. It comes from the family that's sitting in those doors right there. That's where you can go and get your wellspring when the people on the outside tell you can't do it. When the people on the outside are giving you a hard time, you go to your wellspring and you go to these comments that the family members are going to give various different family members in that meeting. And so once again, this is a meeting that it gives value to the business of the family, and as well the value to each individual family member, regardless of if they're doing business or not. Everybody gets a compliment, everybody gets some form of edification, and then you move on with your day. Uh, if you say, oh, it's a family board meeting for private family foundations, a lot of them are traveling, doing board meetings, and so once again, you just handle it as such. You're traveling, everything's board, you have a meeting that day, and you move on with your day. It's really just that simple. We record it, we have it in the minutes. We record the receipts, all those small things, those little things. Those are the things that we're doing. Those are the things that we're doing. So appreciate everybody for tuning in live, listen, replay. Always appreciate everybody for tuning in live, listen, replay. Christian at trustchristian.com. It's the email you can reach out to. Christian at trustchristian.com. Definitely want to do a very brief episode for you all to just go in, know a few things to talk about with the family. Family says, oh man, we need to get in trusteeship, trust Christian to vote. Well, you can reach out, Christian at trustchristian.com. Once again, Christian at trustchristian.com. Get a private consultation and really just make sure that the situation is diagnosed properly. And moving forward in the capacity of which you want to move forward with the vault, which is private trustee training, where we work with trustees. And that's very important. It's not like, oh, you go to some lawyer and they sell you a trust. That's what the lawyer's going to do. That's what they're going to do. And if you go, oh, they got a bunch of people to reach out to us. Oh man, I wrote my own, or I went in through the internet. Yeah, so you have a grantor type trust. And so we talk to trustees in this capacity, or people that reach out, and we have those conversations. So we definitely want to say thank you for tuning in live, listening to replay to this full episode. Christian at trustchristian.com. Feel free to reach out. Have a board meeting set up with Trust Christian. Maybe to even sit in for your meeting at the end of the year and just make sure things are going well. We do have trustees that do that. Feel free to get Trust Christian to do that. You can feel free to reach out, Christian at trustchristian.com. It's actually a great price right now to be able to have Trust Christian sit in a meeting and do that. Very, very eloquent. Where you can have someone sit in a meeting that's senior. A lot of trustees say, oh, Trust Christian vote, I want you to sit on my board of trustees. If there's no pay. And so people say, oh man, you got to do compensation. You don't just serve for free. You're not serving for free. So why would we? It's about building a family estate. It's about acquiring assets. Well, do you do gold and silver? We've always done gold and silver at the vault. And then recently a lot of people do cryptos. Well, we don't do that. So we're very aware of the form of payments people can make in various different ways for your family estate to continue to have quality management, oversight, and protocols. Governance. Christian at trustchristian.com. Look forward to hearing from you all. Christian at trustchristian.com. Peace and joy.